Well, look, I think the three most important parts three most important reasons for voting yes for Lisbon are jobs, jobs and jobs. This is the start of the platform of our economic recovery. If we get this right and we vote yes, and we stick with our partners who have been good partners for Ireland and terrific partners for Ireland for the last 35 plus years. We've gone through thick and thin with the EU, and we are in a place right now where economically, as we set our stall out to create once again some improvements in our economic fortunes, to give ourselves the opportunity to take some control of our destiny, to get the right values into our systems here, we need to be part of the EU and be right at the centre. Voting no will reduce our influence. There is no doubt about it. Voting yes will keep us right at the centre. It's about jobs, jobs and jobs. Not jobs necessarily for this generation alone, but jobs for the next generation, which is most important.
Is there a danger, Paul Rellis, that multinationals, very significant multinationals like Microsoft, your own company, Intel, other major multinationals based here, Google another one, could pull out of Ireland if we vote no and we get very strong waves of hostility pushed towards us?
I haven't heard that expressed at all by any company. What I've heard is, look, if you want to have certainty, investors want to have certainty. They want to have some roadmap that shows them here's where we're going, here's what we're going to be part of. That's the biggest problem. It's the future investment coming here that I think will be either slowed down or might go somewhere else if there were more reasons to go somewhere else. Like people might feel that there were more European friendly countries, that there's better access to markets and so on by routing through different countries. That's the challenge we have. Like it or not, that's where we are, and we need to be realistic about that. Get over it and decide we want to be part of this, and then create the best future we can possibly create for ourselves through the EU.
But what about all the various concerns people have raised about the Lisbon Treaty? Now, some of them have been addressed in terms of the guarantees, but those who are against Lisbon say those guarantees aren't legally binding until there's another EU treaty further down the road which will actually incorporate them as in international law. And they're concerned that the guarantees we've been given mean nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look back to the first Lisbon Treaty referendum, there were clear reasons why people voted no about the Commissioner, about tax, about neutrality and right to life and so on. And those issues, as far as I've seen and as far as the Referendum Commission have pointed out, have been addressed or largely addressed. And so those are really important reasons for people, from my reading of the treaty, seem to have been addressed. Do people still have concerns? Of course people still have concerns, because we're in a period of incredible uncertainty in the world right now. And what I think this gives us is certainty. We can take a little bit of the future into our hands here, create some more certainty for ourselves, get some more control of our destiny, and get the focus back onto the bigger picture here, which is we want to create a better place for this society. We want to create a better place for this country. We Irish people, we genuinely want that. This will give us the opportunity to get to that better place and create jobs,
but
jobs and
Paul,
jobs.
You see, because Declan Ganley, as you know now, of Libertas, has entered the Lisbon stage again, and he says that he wants to rebut claims that the treaty will bring jobs and prosperity to Ireland. He says, actually, there's a quote of his today in the Sunday Times, it will do nothing whatsoever to create a single job in Ireland, and he goes on to say it will transfer exclusive competence in foreign direct investment policy, commercial policy, industrial policy and other key areas to Brussels and away from Ireland. Now, we did, by the way, try to get Declan Ganley on, but he's launching his new campaign this morning in Dublin, so I think it coincides. But we did offer him to come on the show and give us his point of view. But there you go, Declan Ganley, a very experienced man in the international business field, saying that it will remove, it will transfer exclusive competence in foreign direct investment policy from Ireland to Brussels.
First time I've heard that, and my reading of the treaty wouldn't say that at all. I think when you look at what does the question really I think you're asking is what does the treaty do for business, and there's 6 clear areas. You go through it. Article 179 talks about research and development and says that the EU wants to create a European research area, which is so important for us. Article 195 says it's all about enhancing the tourism sector, improving competitiveness. That's a huge priority, not just for the EU, but for people all over Ireland. It talks about rural areas. Article 194 talks about what it's going to do for green energy business. So I can only deal with the specifics that I see in the treaty, and those for me are, from a business point of view, this is the platform to get to a better place. And this is step one of part one of getting us back on the road to economic recovery.
Bridget Laffan, you're chair of the Ireland for Europe organisation, which is campaigning for a yes vote. Again, I suppose, what's your own response to that question? What would be the implications for Ireland if we vote no to the Lisbon Treaty?
Well, I agree with everything that Paul has said, and I'm very struck by the fact that all the job creators in Ireland are on the yes side. And it's not just the multinationals, but companies like Martin Naughton, Glen Dimplex, and people like Liam Griffin, a major hotel owner in Wexford, the Irish Exporters Association. So they're not likely to be on the yes side if they feel it's bad for business. And in direct response to Declan Ganley saying that the EU would take over responsibility for foreign direct investment, the American Chambers of Commerce in Ireland, or in Ireland and in Brussels in fact, and major investors, representatives of major investors, want the Lisbon Treaty. So they're not going to want it if the consequence is that the EU takes over control over foreign direct investment in Europe. That simply is counterintuitive, and they wouldn't be against their own interests in a very real sense. In terms of the consequences, I think there are enormous consequences in terms of influence. But can I give you a very simple consequence that I believe would happen on the Monday after a no, of direct material interest to Ireland, and that is, unfortunately, this country has to borrow a lot at the moment. We're already, the spread between the cost of our borrowing and German borrowing is 1.7%. That cost would increase, and for every 1% that would increase, it's €250 million, which is less schools, less hospitals, at a time when our public finances are in crisis. I believe that the direct impact would start on the Monday because the markets would respond. The markets would see Ireland as uncertain. Uncertainty is the big problem here. Would see uncertainty. Would Ireland be able to pay back? We will not have a problem borrowing because the financial markets will lend to you. The issue is the cost at which they will give you money. And we cannot afford to do anything that will put up the cost of borrowing for this society at the moment.